Hi, this is Vikas Singh from Horizon, and today's video I'm going to show you the installation and configuration of System Center Data Protection Manager 2012. So you can set up the Data Protection Manager to set up take the backup of your infrastructure servers like Exchange server, file server, VMs, SQL servers, anything. So if you go to next slide, you can see here the System Center Data Protection Manager overview. You can take the backup of SQL Server, Exchange Server, SharePoint, File Server. Also, you can take the backup of Hyper-V virtual machines, VMware virtual machine, Azure virtual machine. So this is a powerful tool for the backup solution, which is in System Center suite. So if you need our help to set up a backup solution for you, which is Microsoft Data Protection Manager, you can contact us. Our contact details is given in below description. So let's move, and here we have a demo environment which we are going to use in this demo to give you the demo of the installation of System Center Data Protection Manager 2012. So I'm using two virtual machine here. The first machine is my Active Directory server, which is a Win2K12 DC01, which is running operating system Windows Server 2012 R2. If you go here, this is my Active Directory server. So my domain name is horizon.co. Hit enter. So here you can see my hostname is Win2K12 DC01 and I am running operating system Windows Server 2012 R2, and this is my primary domain controller, and I have 8 gig of RAM on this machine, and the IP address of my domain controller is 192.168.1.254. So here is my Active Directory and DNS server is running. You can see also the local server information here. My domain name is horizon.co. So this is my domain controller, and the second machine we have, which is our DPM server. On this machine we are going to install a Microsoft System Center Data Protection Manager, and this machine is running Windows Server 2012 R2 edition. So, and I have assigned 32 gig of RAM to this machine. So let's go here. Hit Ctrl+Alt to log into this machine, and I'm using my domain account, which is DPM admin, which I have created in my Active Directory. If you go, you can see here under the Horizon I have a DPM admin account, and if you go to servers, you can see Win2K12 DPM machine is there. So I'm going to log in with my domain account. So you can see all the information here, the hostname Win2K12 DPM, and we have a standalone server. This is, and it's logged into domain Horizon, and logon server is our domain controller, and the machine domain is Horizon. So this is my DPM server. So this is fresh machine on which I have just installed the operating system Windows Server 2012 R2 standard, and I have joined this machine in domain after configuring the static IP address. So this is the demo environment. So let's move to next slide, step-by-step System Center Data Protection Manager 2012 installation. So you can see the first task which we need to do, rename Windows Server 2012 and join in domain and restart. So we have already done this step, that's why I marked this step as a green. So you can see here I have renamed this server, configured the IP address, and I have already joined this machine in domain, which is horizon.co. So we are good to go, and we will start from the second step, which is install and configure SQL Server 2012 Service Pack 1. So DPM require a SQL instance where we need to install the SQL Server instance. So I'm going to install SQL Server instance on this machine itself. So might be you can install, you can also use the remote SQL instance, like the SQL Server is running on any other server, it's not locally installed on DPM server. So in this case I am going to install, as this is a demo environment, I am going to install the SQL Server on this server itself. So before installing the SQL Server, you just need to make sure that you have installed .NET framework 3.5. So if I go here, add and remove features, and if I go to feature page, you can see I have already installed .NET 3.5, which is a prerequisite for installing this SQL Server. So now we are on SQL Server Installation Center. Click on install. Now you can see new SQL Server standalone installation and add or remove existing feature installation. So I'm going to click on this to start the SQL Server installation. So it's going to launch the SQL Server installation wizard, and it's checking some prerequisites. As I told you, it's checking the, like, we are a local administrator on this machine, so it's going to check the .NET 3.5 service pack 1 is installed. So it will take some time. So everything seems good, everything passed. Click OK. So as this is a demo environment, I'm going to use the evaluation version. If you are doing it in production, you can go ahead and put your SQL Server license here. So I'm going to use the evaluation version. Click next. I accept the license term. Click next. And product update page. Click next. And now it's checking for the installation support files. It's complete files is available or not, so it will take some time. Then it will launch another setup wizard for us. So now it's launching the final installation wizard for SQL Server 2012 Series Pack 1. So it's checking few prerequisites. So might be we will get some warning on Windows Firewall to just make sure the firewall ports are open, which is required to communicate between DPM server and SQL Server. So we are installing in local, so we are good to go. Otherwise you need to allow the firewall ports from SQL Server, which is being used by SQL Server. So click next. I'm going to install SQL Server features installation, where we are going to install a database engine and few services. So click next. On the feature selection page, we require a database engine services, reporting services native, and next we require a management tool. So I have selected all three which we need, and click next. Let's check some prerequisites. Everything passed, so click next. Now it's asking for the instance name. We can modify the instance name if you want to change the instance name as per your need, but I'm going to use the default one, which is the MS SQL Server instance name. So go ahead, click next. Now it's checking the free space on C drive, so we are good to go. Click next. Now we need to put the credential here to run the SQL Server services, so I'm going to use origin and slash DPM admin. I'm going to copy this and type the password for this account, and again we need to put the password. So we are good to go. Click next. So now the SQL Server authentication method, I'm going to use the Windows authentication method here. and I'm going to add my current user, which is DPM admin, to specify the SQL Server administrator. So click next. So here we have an option to reporting service native mode. So I'm going to install and configure reporting services. Click next, and we are good. And again, it's check few prerequisites, so we are good to go. And now we are on a final step where we can start the installation for SQL Server. So now you can see what we have just selected through this wizard, installation wizard. So action type install, edition evaluation, and already install the features which we have and what feature we are going to install, and the instance name, the instance IDs, the SQL Server installation path. So we are good to go, and now I'm going to click the install button to run the installation, and this installation will take around 5 minutes to get the installation done for SQL Server 2012. After that, we can go to next step. After configuring the SQL Server memory, we can go to next step, which is run the DPM Server 2012 installation. So I am pausing the recording here for the SQL Server installation. Once the SQL Server installation is done, I will resume from there and we can go for the next steps. So now you can see the SQL Server installation is completed, everything is success. So we can go ahead and close this. Also we can close this, and now to configure SQL Server memory which needed, so I'm going to use SQL Server Management Studio to limit the memory for the SQL Server. So I'm going to use the Windows authentication, and my DPM admin account have administrative rights. So right button, click on server name, go to properties. Here we have a memory, so I'm going to set the minimum memory 10240, which is 10 gig, and maximum 20480, which is 20 gig. So it's done. Now we can move to next step, which is run the DPM 2012 installation. So I'm going to mount the installation media for DPM. So we have here data production manager 2012 R2. Open it. Double click on the DVD. So now we have a System Center 2012 R2 Data Production Manager, and I'm going to install Data Production Manager here. So click on it. I accept the license term and conditions. Click OK. So welcome to the System Center 2012 R2 Data Production Manager setup. Click next. And here we need to put the server name and instance as given here. So I'm going to put here Win2K12 DPM and MS SQL server. I click here. You can see select the appropriate option, and it's going to install few missing component, and you can see the perform the prerequest check and install the missing Windows component. So if I click on check and install, it will going to check the missing component. If any missing component is found on this machine, it will going to install a missing component. Might be we require a reboot, so I'm going to click here on check and install. So you can see here installing basic component is running. So we need to wait for few minutes here. So you can see here the missing prerequest SIS filter has been installed. Restart the computer and run the application again. So we are good to go. Actually we need to reboot this machine and everything is installed, and then we can run the setup again for the System Center Data Production Manager. So I am going to restart the DPM server. So hit Ctrl Del to log in. And once again I'm going to run the setup. And data protection managers, I accept the license term, click OK. Click next. Put the name of server Win2K12 DPM and instant name MS SQL Server, and check and install. So again it's checking this prerequest, so everything is passed. We have a warning here because it's telling like MS SQL Server is running on evaluation edition, so we don't have issue. This is a team environment. Click next. Now we have a product registration, so I'm going to call it like Origin, and you need to put the credential your DPM product key here, so I'm going to put the product key. On the product registration I just entered my product key and click the next, and now we have installation setting, the DPM files, program files, it's going on C drive, the default location, so we are good to go. We have enough free space in drive, so click next. And I don't want to check for Microsoft update for now, so click next. And don't want to participate. So here we have information, username, company name, the SQL Server instance name, and reporting services. So click on install, and now you can see the final Microsoft SQL Data Protection Manager installation is running. So it will take few minutes, around 5 minutes to get the installation done for Data Protection Manager. Also it's going to install the console for Data Protection Manager and the shell, PowerShell for the Data Protection Manager. So we have to wait for few minutes here. So I am pausing the recording once again. Once the installation is done, we will resume from there, and I will show the how to log into DPM server, and we'll see some option in console. So now you can see the Microsoft System Center Data Protection Manager installation is completed successfully. Go ahead and close this, and now you can see we have a shell, DPM management cell, and DPM Data Protection Manager console also. So I'm going to launch the console. Yes. So now you can see we have a monitoring where we can monitor our backup jobs and everything. We have a production where we can see which system is under the protection, and we have a recovery from where we can initiate the view the recoveries point, and we can initiate the recovery. We have a reporting, and finally we have a management where we can add the agents, add the desk, registration online for the servers for Azure, and we have a library also. So this is how we can install the Data Protection Manager 2012 R2 and the administrator console. So thank you for watching, and if you need our help to set up a Data Protection Manager infrastructure for you, you can contact us. Our contact details is given below. Thank you for watching, and once again, bye bye.